Problem 1. A truck is supposed to move a batch of rice sacks. The first day, it moves 60 more sacks than 1/5 of the entire batch. The second day, it moves 60 less sacks than 1/4 of the entire batch. 220 sacks are left. How many rice sacks are there in all? So there's actually two possible solutions to this, and if you have a third solution, feel free to comment it down below. I'd be happy to see what your thoughts are on this problem. So we can solve it using either ratios, fractions, or we can use it solving functions. So I'm first going to dive into solution 1, which includes fractions and ratios. So we know that the first day it has 60 more sacks than 1/5 of the entire batch. Well, first let's just find the total number of units that here are. We have the two fractions 1/5 and 1/4. So if we were going to set the total amount of units, it has to be a multiple of both 4 and 5. So the LCM of 5 and 4 is 20. So that's a total of 20 units. Okay, so if there's a total of 20 units, then how many units or how much did the truck move the first day? Well, it moved 60 more than 1/5 of the entire batch, which is the same as 60 plus 4 units, because 1/5 of 20 is 4, so 4 units. The second day, it moved 5 units, but so 60 less than 5 units. And after taking all of this away from the batches, 220 sacks are left. So let me ask you, in total, these 2 days, how many units did they move? Well, you can add 4 units with 5 units and add 60 units and subtract 60 units. You'll see that 60 and 60 cancel out. So there's a total of 9 units. So in the first 2 days, 9 units were moved and 220 sacks are left. So if there's a total of 20 units and you move 9 units, how many more do you have to move? That's going to be 11, right? So 11 units correspond to 220 sacks of rice. So if 11 units is corresponding to 220 sacks, then how much is 1 unit? Well, that would be 220 divided by 11, which is equal to 20. So 1 unit is equal to 20 sacks. And the problem is asking us to find how many rice sacks are there in all. If we know that there is a total of 20 units, with each unit representing 20 sacks, then how can we find the total? Well, we can multiply 20 with 20 and we get 400. So our final answer to this problem is 400 sacks. Okay, so there is 400 sacks in all. Now, let's take a look at how we can solve this with functions. And I'm going to use, I'll just separate them off like this. So we already have the answer, but it's still good to explore different ways. So we have a equivalence. So what are we trying to find? We're trying to find the total amount of rice sacks, right? So let x be equal to the total number of sacks. So x is the total number of sacks. And we know the first day they moved 60 more than 1/5 of the entire sack. So that would be 1/5 of x and plus 60. So that's the first day. And then they moved on the second day 1/4 x but 60 less than that. So this is the second day. And then remember, they still have the other section, 220. And all of these added together is x itself. So first, I want to just, so the idea of this solution is to split x, the total number of sacks, into 3 different sections. The amount moved on the first day, that's the first section. The second section is the amount moved on the second day, and the third section is how many are left to be moved. So now we can solve and can simplify. So 60 and 60 cancel out, of course, and we have 9/20 x on this side. And we have plus 220, which is equal to x. So 220 would be equal to x minus 9/20 x, which is equal to 11/20 x. Now, what is x itself then? Well, we can multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 11 over 20, which is 20 over 11. So x is equal to 220 times 20 over 11. We can simplify, and then we get 20. And then we get 400. So also using the second problem, we get the final answer, 400 sacks. So the two mindsets of these two different solutions is just a little bit different. So the key point to this first solution is to find the total amount of units, and then try to find how much does 1 unit correspond to, how many sacks. And the second problem is to find the equivalent value and then split the total into 3 different sections that can add up to that, that can create a equation. So yeah, both of these solutions are nice ones. It's just that I emphasize you to try using ratios and fractions more because it will help with your number sense, and this is a skill we are working on today. So thank you for watching Inquisitive Kids, and see you in problem